Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the RSA. My name is Vicky Hayward. I am Chairman of the Royal Society of the Arts, and it's my very great pleasure to welcome you for this evening's special event. Before we begin, could you make sure that your mobile phones are switched off? We're live streaming this event, so welcome to all our online viewers. And if you'd like to share your comments on Twitter, the hashtag is RSA RDI. RSA RDI. Tonight we will be presenting diplomas to designers who've been appointed as Royal Designers for Industry 2015. The RSA introduced the title RDI in 1936 when the design profession was in its infancy. It was established to promote the important contribution of design in manufacturing and industry and to honour exceptional practitioners of all design principles. Today, the RDI remains the highest accolade for designers in the UK and is awarded to those who've shown sustained design excellence, work of aesthetic value and significant benefit to society. Since its foundation, the RSA has encouraged and supported design and creativity, recognising its importance to our social, economic and cultural prosperity. The awarding of RDIs remains a very important part of the RSA's mission and an event that celebrates the creative talent of extraordinary individuals who have made the world a better place. The new members added this evening to the Faculty of Royal Designers for Industry means we currently have 151 RDIs and 57 honorary RDIs. Only 200 designers are able to hold the distinction RDI at any one time, and non-UK designers are awarded the honorary title of Honorary RDI. In addition to celebrating the RDIs tonight, we're also celebrating the next generation of talented designers committed to using their design ideas to benefit society. We've invited some of the winning students from this year's RSA Student Design Awards to join this evening's celebrations. Established in 1924, the RSA Student Design Award is a global curriculum, an annual competition for design students and graduates. It's driven by the RSA's mission to enable and support emerging designers to use their power to create, to positively impact on the world through design. We work very closely with our industry sponsors, many of whom are in the audience this evening, and I would like to thank you so much on behalf of the RSA for all that you do to support our work. And we work with our supporters to create a set of design briefs each year that challenge students to tackle pressing social, economic and environmental issues. We also work with colleges and universities around the UK and around the world to embed these briefs in their curricula. Many students who pass through this programme go on to use design thinking to transform the world we live in. Indeed, many RDIs, including our incoming master, Betty Jackson, have themselves won RSA Student Design Awards. I'm delighted that 4 recent winners who are starting their careers as designers of social change are here with us tonight, and it's my great pleasure to share their winning work with you. So first of all, I'd like to talk about the work of Ziel Haik. For the first time last year, we collaborated with the RSA's world-renowned public events programme. We asked students to produce an animation to accompany a short audio clip taken from an RSA event for a new category called Moving Pictures. Ziel Haik from the University of Huddersfield won the Moving Pictures brief for his animation, which was entitled Design is More Than Meets the Eye, to accompany an excerpt from a lecture by the international design critic Alice Rawsthorne. Ziel used his animation to highlight issues around child labour, and I hope you'll enjoy watching this brief film now.
Design is an agent of change, which can help us to make sense of what's happening around us and to turn it to our advantage. And the process of analysis, visualization, planning and execution that we call design can help to ensure that changes of any type, whether they're scientific, technological, cultural, political, social, whatever, are introduced to the world in ways that are positive and empowering rather than inhibiting or destructive. And there's no shortage of challenges to tackle. Helping us to live more responsibly and sustainably, reinventing dysfunctional social services, redressing the tragic imbalance of resources that leaves so many people with too little and the rest of us with more than we need or want. Now, I'm not going to pretend for a moment that design is a panacea for these problems, far from it, but it's a very powerful tool to tackle them, provided it's deployed intelligently. And the more we know about design, the greater our chances will be of using its power wisely.
Next, Lisa Hornsey of Northumbria University won the Fair Play brief, which asked students to design a sustainable toy. So please meet Squiggle, a gender-neutral playhouse made of chalkboard that allows children to bring their imagination to life and transform the toy by drawing on it. Squiggle is ecologically produced, designed for a longer product life, and the packaging is made from 100% recycled and biodegradable elements. The judging panel found Lisa's solution completely magical and instantly marketable. They were extremely impressed by her excellent insights and system thinking and on her strong visual and verbal presentation. Next, Chris Rothrier from the University of Nottingham won the Water for All brief, which challenged students to design something that would increase women's access to fresh water supplies in the developing world. He designed a sustainable filtration kit, a water purification kit that produces high-quality carbon from scrap wood, which is then used to filter contaminated water. Christopher's mindful and clever solution demonstrated cultural sensitivity and humanitarian understanding of the brief. And we're thrilled to hear that Chris is now working with Charlie Patton, RDI, at Seawater Greenhouse on a major new Somaliland project funded by Innovate UK. This is tackling severe food insecurity issues in the region using seawater technology to grow crops in arid conditions. And next to Kaz Moharashi. The final RSA winner here tonight has received an additional award, which I'm delighted to announce publicly this evening, the Howarth Award. This is generously supported by Richard Howarth, former SDA winner and Vice President of Industrial Design at Apple, working with Sir Jonathan Ive, RDI. The award is intended to support projects or personal development and is given to students who have demonstrated enthusiasm and commitment. Richard selected Kaz as the winner after seeing all of the shortlisted and winning work in the 2015 RSA Student Design Awards. Kaz has recently graduated with an MA in Communication Design from Norwich University of the Arts, and her winning RSA project is Walkies, a mapping tool that empowers children to explore, document and share their ideas on what makes heritage. Walkies uses both physical and digital engagement through a sausage dog soft toy and avatar, which encourages children to explore museums and heritage institutions. The jury praised Kaz's in-depth, user-centered approach to the brief and described her solution as magical, inspirational and powerful, opening up a portal for children to explore heritage in an entirely new way. And I would like to invite Kaz to stand up now and for you to congratulate her along with the other Student Design Award winners this evening. Up you get, Kaz. These talented young designers will be downstairs with their winning projects in the Benjamin Franklin room. So if you would like to talk to them later on about how they were inspired or what their ideas really mean for them, then I'm sure they'd be incredibly pleased to talk to you and tell you more about their projects. Many of you in this room have also established some transformative projects with our family of RSA academies. If I may share one example, Helen Story, RDI, has developed a project that engages all 5 of our academy schools through a travelling field of jeans, part of the catalytic clothing collection. The work is a fashion-science collaboration investigating how we could purify air. A catalyst has been washed into jeans and helps to into these clothes and helps reduce harmful car emissions that can affect our health and environment. Using the arrival of this unusual art installation, teachers and students across all the RSA academies are considering ways to teach and learn differently, showing how innovation and design can act as an inspirational launchpad, engaging young people to think about all our futures and how to make the world a better place. And I really do hope these initiatives will continue and develop in the future, and that our new rural designers this evening might consider ways in which they can participate with us on our programme with young people. Following the RDI presentation tonight, fashion designer and educationalist Betty Jackson will be inaugurated as the new Master of Rural Designers. And then, according to tradition, Betty will give this year's RDI address. In a moment, I will hand over to the outgoing Master of the Rural Designers, digital and graphic designer Malcolm Garrett, who will invite the new members of the faculty to receive their diplomas. But before I do that, I would really like to thank Malcolm for working with the faculty and the RSA over the past 2 years. It all seems to go so incredibly quickly. It only seems like 5 minutes ago that I was welcoming you, but we gratefully acknowledge the role of the RDI Master, and thanks to the generosity and commitment of RDIs who are keen to work with us to help us to meet the charitable aims of the RSA. Your generous contribution, Malcolm, has been greatly appreciated, and we thank you for everything that you have done as Master. Perhaps I could ask you to go. So now I'm very happy to be able to welcome him to the stage for this evening's event. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that, Vicky. That's very nice. This is actually one of the most rewarding aspects of being Master. I have the great honour of introducing the new RDIs and welcoming them to the faculty. Tonight we have 5 new RDIs joining us, along with 3 honorary RDIs. So, without further ado, let me introduce the first. Michael Anastasiades trained as a civil engineer at London's Imperial College of Science, Technology and Medicine before taking a master's degree in industrial design at the Royal College of Art. With this background in engineering and industrial design, his work is positioned somewhere between art, craft and technology. He founded his studio in 1994 to explore contemporary notions of culture and aesthetics across product, furniture and environmental design. Michael creates objects that are minimal, utilitarian, almost mundane, yet which are imbued with a refreshing vitality. His distinctive, geometric and minimal designs for lighting demonstrate a sensitive and innovative use of materials and technology. He has pioneered a new way of using ultra-low LED light and has designed products for the world's leading manufacturers. String, his most recent lighting for the manufacturer Floss, has already become iconic, combining a unique practicality with a sublime elegance. Encountering early difficulties in getting work manufactured, Michael established his own company in 2007 to produce his signature pieces, a collection of lighting, furniture, jewellery and tabletop objects. His instinct and perseverance in designing and producing his own work has resulted in great success and acclaim. By establishing his own studio to design, manufacture and sell his work, he's become an ambassador of UK design and a leading example of the most thoughtful, creative and progressive of British designers. He has supported marginalised traditional manufacturers by working with small UK companies. These include metal spinners, whose very existence has been threatened by lighting components being sourced outside the UK. In addition, he has exhibited widely. Solo exhibitions include Time and Again, which was shown throughout Europe, and his work is featured in major permanent collections around the world, including New York, London, Orleans and Vienna. Lecturing frequently and judging global design competitions, he has been influential in encouraging students and young designers to manufacture and sell their own work, thereby showcasing young British creative talent at its best and creating job opportunities within UK design and manufacturing industries. We welcome Michael Anastasiades RDI to the faculty for his excellence and innovation in lighting design and for supporting young designers, manufacturing and making in the UK. Next, we have Kate Blee. For 30 years, Kate Blee has consistently produced work of outstanding quality in the fields of textiles, art and architecture. Since graduating from Edinburgh College of Art in 1984, she has worked with cloth and dyes, studying their natures and relationships with each other, and has been involved in a wide range of art and design projects, working on exhibitions, installations and commissions. She has also been involved in several social investment projects and undertaken numerous public commissions, whilst continuing to develop her own practice with cloth. In 1999, she completed her first non-textile commission, a suspended screen of painted enamel on glass for the Financial Services Authority in Canary Wharf. Then, in 2000, she completed a commission for 3 large flat-weave tapestries, each over 5 metres long, for Parliament's new buildings at Portcullis House. Her first work in ceramic was a wall commissioned by Wilkinson Eyre in 2004. An 8-metre-high site-specific tapestry for Cambridge University's new reading room soon followed, and another large pair of rugs for the Wellcome Trust headquarters. For 4 years, Kate joined as a member of a selected group of designers to develop LOSA, a social investment program within rural Zulu communities in South Africa. This design and craft program aimed to create sustainable work opportunities through local craft production. Jobs were created for 1,000 South African workers as they reached a wider market for their products by applying contemporary design thinking and practice to their crafts. The success of this project led to another rural, craft-based social investment program called Eliza Home. This was a collaboration between 3 British designers and 650 impoverished artisans in the Algerian Sahara, whose export market had been eroded over the last 3 decades. In 2007, focusing on key design concerns such as welcoming, well-being, a sense of place and identity, and wayfinding, Kate embarked upon a series of projects in NHS hospital environments, working as lead artist alongside architects, crucially coming on board right at the early stages of a project. She has since worked on the redevelopment of Southmead Hospital in Bristol, the Brighton and Sussex University Hospital on a non-clinical unit for Macmillan Cancer Care, and the intensive care baby unit at the John Radcliffe Hospital in Oxford. We welcome Kate Blee, RDI, to the faculty for contributing her outstanding expertise in textiles to social investment projects and therapeutic public spaces. For over a decade, the French brothers Ronan and Erwin Bouroullec have played a significant role in contemporary design culture and have led the way in challenging how contemporary design looks, is made, and is used. The broad range of products they have designed, the use of materials, and the balance between commercial and cultural projects is a testament to the Bouroulec's influence on the contemporary design world. Although still in the early stages of their career, their work and influence already has global reach. Their work is found in many environments, including small gallery collections, mass-market office systems, and one-off installations. They are constant experimenters, and their work uniquely bridges a gap between furniture and the architectural space that it inhabits. Their continuous exploration of material and ergonomic and aesthetic experimentation keeps them ahead of the zeitgeist. Their work seamlessly strides contemporary living and culture, producing textiles, bathrooms, office furniture, rugs, domestic furniture and lighting. Their output seems both effortless and ambitious, and they now work for manufacturers too numerous to list. Ronan and Erwin have developed and defined a thoughtful aesthetic with a sense of spirit and poetry. Adopting both traditional and modern manufacturing techniques, they retain a very close understanding of the making process, which is often at the heart of their design ideas. The Steelwood series for Magus expresses this interest in the distinctive way it combines solid wood and steel pressing, resulting in a new and original language for a whole range of furniture. Similarly, Cloud for Kvadrat utilised experimentation in the design and making process, resulting in not only a new aesthetic, but also a new product typology, elevating acoustic tiles into a three-dimensional spatial installation. Their work with Vitra since 2002 reinvents the modern workplace by exploring behaviour and social ergonomics, without compromising aesthetics nor ignoring production concerns. Many of their projects have already become icons and appear in international museums, and several exhibitions have been devoted to their work. Most recently, the Musée des Arts Décoratifs in Paris hosted a major exhibition enabling visitors to use and test the ergonomics of their furniture pieces. Their textile field, created especially for the V&A for the 2011 London Design Festival, was one of the festival's highlights. By transforming the space with an expansive, coloured foam and textile piece, the designers gave visitors a new perspective from which to appreciate the works, and in 2014 they were awarded the London Design Medal. We welcome Ronan and Erwan Bouroullec as honorary RDIs for their progressive and influential work across products, furniture and public spaces, and for their impact on contemporary design culture. Unfortunately, they can't be with us tonight, so no photograph. Kim Colin trained originally as an architect and began her career working with the American artist Mike Kelly as an assistant to his Architectural Models series. She formed the Design Office Industrial Facility in 2002 together with Sam Hecht, also a Royal designer, which is now recognised as a leading international design office. Kim has applied the rigour and precision of the architectural process to industrial design with great effect. She has been at the forefront of applying strategic design thinking to create complete and resilient design solutions, convincing companies to improve their business potential and their influence on users, clients, and to society at large. Her first works that went into production were with Muji, where she became European Design Advisor, helping the company to grow significantly across Europe. Following this, she became Design Advisor to Herman Miller and played a key role in reintroducing design values to the company. She designed several key pieces for their collection, including the wireframe sofa, formwork accessories, and the hugely successful Locale office system that introduced a more comfortable and collaborative atmosphere to the workplace. Intelligent design thinking, coupled with an exceptional aesthetic, sets Kim apart from her contemporaries. Her work is consistently original and always crafted with great excellence. Very few industrial design practices consistently produce product and furniture designs with such attention to scale and form. Kim has also taught at the Architectural Association and the Royal College of Art and has lectured widely. With Industrial Facility, she has held exhibitions of her work worldwide, including a highly acclaimed one at the Design Museum in 2008. She has also written several books on design, including Things That Go Unseen, Products as Landscape, and Usefulness in Small Things. She regularly judges contemporary design awards, including the Design of the Year Award in 2014, and has mentored young designers as part of the British Council's Young Creative Entrepreneur programme. Most recently, she has curated an exhibition, Beauty as Unfinished Business, at the Saint-Étienne Design Biennial, looking at the wider cultural role that design plays. Through these endeavours, her contribution to the discourse on design, especially for young people, has been particularly significant. We invite Kim Colin, RDI, to join the faculty for her sustained excellence in product design and for applying design thinking to create thriving and sustainable enterprises. Neil McLaughlin is one of the most intellectually curious architects of his generation, combining practice and teaching as a process of architectural inquiry. His work varies in scale, from the master planning of substantial institutions, such as the Natural History Museum, through to beautifully considered contemplative spaces as seen at Bishop Edward King Chapel in Cambridge. Neil started his own practice 25 years ago and developed a unique reputation with a series of buildings that are individually crafted and exquisitely built. He is committed to delivering architecture of the highest quality, which is clearly illustrated by the enormous number of architectural awards he has won throughout his career. Neil's work is characterized by conceptual clarity, a narrative that weaves a multitude of references into eloquently simple buildings, and a concern for the craft of making architecture that delights in every detail. His buildings are always part of a personal exploration, whether that derives from the history and iconography of low-relief sculpture, as with the housing at the London 2012 Olympic Athletes Village, concretization of reflected sound, as at the Delaware Pavilion in Bexhill-on-Sea, or the geometry of an elliptical structure, as at Bishop Edward King Chapel. Neil has always been a teacher as well as a practitioner. He has a reputation for running the most stimulating of classes. He has the ability to engage and entertain students with an incisive critique reinforced by a wide-ranging understanding of history, philosophy, and theory of architecture, as well as a sensitivity to spatial composition and materiality that emerges in his own work. Neil's work has grown from private sector housing to more public projects for church communities, where his work has set new precedents for the design of spiritual and liturgical spaces, and for social facilities such as the Alzheimer's Respite Centre in Dublin. This facility provides a series of calm, coherent spaces which reduce enervating distraction, aid orientation, and encourage mobility. It shows that through design, it is possible to alleviate disorientation, confusion, and aggression in the building's occupants and promote sociable interaction and a sense of security. This building has set a powerful precedent in healthcare design. We welcome Neil McLaughlin to the faculty as Honorary RDI for his innovative and contemplative spaces and his commitment to teaching and education to inform best practice. Karen Nickel is an outstanding embroidery and mixed media textile designer who has been working in the industry for almost 40 years. Combining textile design with stitch and an interest in recycling, Karen has reinvented traditional embroidery and embellishment techniques, producing original, modern textiles for many different markets: fashion, interiors, film, theatre, ballet, and advertising. Setting up her studio in 1998, Karen has extended the boundaries of conventional fabric embellishment, breaking free from any preconceived expectations of embroidery. By using unconventional materials with traditional skills, or inventing new techniques with orthodox fabric and threads, Karen gives new life to recycled materials. She produces beautiful, innovative creations for the most celebrated of fashion designers' collections all over the world, and there are too many to list here. Her work often defines the theme of a collection. Briefs vary from eye-catching catwalk pieces to the practical, cost-conscious embellishment of ready-to-wear clothing. She has shown that applying different textile techniques can prolong the life of a best-selling garment season after season. All of Karen's work is produced under her personal guidance in her London studio, which has provided training, employment, and valuable work experience for student and graduate designers, with an opportunity to learn practical design and traditional skills when college facilities are being cut and students have decreasing access to practical tuition, materials, and techniques. 15 years ago, Karen founded the Mixed Media course at the RCA, a course that questions the perceived image and expectations of textiles and encapsulates her unique early vision and ambitions. Her impact on education across the UK and the USA is immense. from her innovative visual lectures and mentoring at various universities to her signature style and impact on the world of textiles in general. Karen also works with the charity Fine Cell Work, a social enterprise that trains both male and female prisoners in paid, skilled, creative needlework undertaken in the long hours spent in cells. The project has proven to foster hope, discipline, and self-esteem. In defiance of the stark prison environment, prisoners have the chance to create beautiful, covetable items to send out into the world. We invite Karen Nickel RDI to join the faculty for pushing new boundaries in fabric and stitch design, promoting recycled textiles, and designing for fine cell work, teaching creative needlework to prisoners. And finally, I hesitate to say we've left the best till last. That would be unfair. David Pearson is among the very best graphic designers working in publishing and book design today. He has a personal way of working which is instantly recognizable, consistently intelligent and innovative, and distinctly evocative. His designs subtly entice you to open the book and delve into its contents. David joined Penguin Books as a text designer after graduating from Central St. Martin's and moved to the cover design department 6 months later, where he remained for several years. He left to go freelance in 2007 and now works alone, commissioning the best illustrators and typographers. His unique approach to manipulation of type and image, and type as image, distinguishes his work from his contemporaries. His practice, particularly when working on book covers, enables him to make clear, graphically literate packages that mirror and enhance the book's content subtly and effectively, without resort to the kind of design tactics for attracting attention that we're all used to seeing in railway station bookshops. A particular favourite of mine, the cover for Penguin's 1984 by George Orwell, with its blacked-out author and title, is now firmly fixed in my mind as the only possible way to design this book cover. In the age of the Kindle, when words on paper are under threat, and with it the loss of a particular handcrafted creativity, David has spent his career dedicating himself to promoting literature by keeping the enjoyment of the physical book at the forefront. He continues to do this by designing, lecturing, writing, interviewing, and curating. He is passionate about design history and design education, and devotes a considerable amount of time to teaching. In recent years, he has taught at numerous universities and colleges across the UK and abroad, and has lectured on design history and typography in 12 countries at the last count. In 2008, he started his own publishing imprint, White's Books, to encourage people to continue to appreciate actual printed books. This publishing venture was a direct response to mass digitization and the predicted demise of the physical book. He also felt that the time-honoured classics were not being given the treatment they deserved, so he began to create beautifully crafted volumes which could be sold at the price of a standard hardback to an audience that cared about the quality of book presentation. We welcome David Pearson, RDI, to the faculty for his distinctive and innovative contribution to British publishing and his commitment to design education. Well, tonight, my term as Master of the Faculty comes to an end, sadly, and it is time to hand on the baton to someone new. Each new Master is chosen by a select group of past Masters, as they alone, apparently, have the first-hand knowledge of what the requirements of the role are. But I can tell you that amongst that group, there is no shortage of views on who might be the best equipped to take on the mantle. In this case, though, I can report that the group took about 30 seconds to discuss and agree that our choice of next Master would definitely be the one for the job. The challenge was then to convince her to accept the invitation. Thankfully, she did accept. She is Betty Jackson. Betty is only the 4th female master since the faculty was founded in 1936 and follows Jean Muir, master from 1993 to 1995, as only the 2nd fashion designer to become master. I won't say any more by way of introduction, and instead will let Betty give you her own personal insight in the address she will deliver shortly. But I'm delighted to invite Betty Jackson to join me on the stage and accept the Master's Medallion, which I reluctantly give up. And speaking for the entire faculty, we wish her every success in steering it over the next 2 years.
My goodness, well, you will also be pleased to hear that I am the last speaker and then we can all go and have a drink. So thank you, Malcolm, for that kind introduction. And thank you also for steering us through the last 2 years through quite a tricky time with your gentleness and your optimism. Some members of the audience may not be aware that the Royal Designers for Industry are currently having an interesting conversation with the Royal Society of Arts about the changing nature of design in society. The response of the faculty to a changing culture that is rightly and happily ready to embrace new design disciplines is a well-established and lively debate, and an ongoing one. Sometimes a little slow, as Marcel Duchamp said, and the late great Alan Fletcher RDI so beautifully illustrated, beware of wet paint. But to be current and credible, we must continue to discuss positively the multiple definitions of what constitutes design and the role of the designer in a modern, fast-moving world. You need to be, as we always are when voting on a new RDI, completely blown away by their work. And this year has been illustrated. At the last meeting, the work was truly exceptional and did just that. One is so overwhelmed by how design works, and this is really what is most important, that it works, both for the individual user or for the community multiples and consequently for the greater benefit of society. Art has to be, design has to work. So said the American artist Donald Judd. So yes, design must work. Take fashion, that so frivolous design discipline. Who would deny it works? I am, in fact, quite a useless patron of a small charity called SmartWorks, which offers help to a number of women who find themselves unemployable for any number of reasons. Often these women who are disadvantaged by having served a prison sentence for some minor silly offence, who emerge in a grey tracksuit with a carrier bag of their belongings, or they are single mothers who have attended up to maybe 50 job interviews without success and have lost complete confidence in their skills, their appearance, and their aptitude for employment generally. Nothing wrong with a grey tracksuit, but with the help of donations from incredibly generous sponsors and high-end manufacturers in the fashion industry, plus a team of very willing SmartWorks volunteers, they are dressed and styled head to foot, including underwear and earrings sometimes. We advise them how to behave in an interview, shake hands, smile, leave the chewing gum at home, and we have nearly a 60% success rate. They go to their interview thinking that they can get their job, and they do. They're confident in the way they look, and they're supported. Clothes make that difference. Not just beautiful, but useful, and maybe not so frivolous after all. What unites us all here in this room is a passion for making beautiful and useful things, whether they be buildings or road signs, museums or pots, computers or bridges, graphics or hats, fabric or frocks. and a commitment to doing it in the highest of all possible standards. My address tonight is called Craft and Technology because in its simplest and truest definition, craft means art, trade, or an occupation requiring special skill, especially manual skill. And technology means the application of scientific knowledge for practical purposes, especially in industry. Creativity, imagination, innovation, moral and social worth, we may take these as read, yet none of them can be expressed or realized without a designer's hard-earned skills, her craft, nor can they have a positive impact on the world without the conduit of ever-evolving technology of the industries of which we RDIs are a part. It's technology, the practical ways of manipulating the material world, that gives a designer's skill and inspiration their existence. Only when duplicated, mass-produced, does fashion make itself available to enrich the lives of its wearers. But it cuts both ways. Without the craft of the designer, technology is left making stuff that may be useful, but is not beautiful, or may be beautiful, but is useless. It's left making bad stuff. The union of craft and technology has always been indispensable. One cannot do without the other, but the pairing of the two is even more important in today's fast-moving modern world. For me, the starting point was falling in love with fabric. At school, I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I knew what I didn't want to do. I knew I would die if I went to read English or history at university, my school's preferred option. So, encouraged by my fabulously renegade art teacher at the time, I announced to the headmistress that I was going to go to art school. It was sort of like an atomic bomb going off. Parents were called, and I was advised to think and reflect on what was considered to be a most unfortunate choice for the future. However, my father very wisely suggested that if I wanted to do this, I could do it for a year and we'd see what happened. We lived in Bacup, a very small industrial town in Lancashire, and whilst all my friends went off to explore sex, drugs and rock and roll in glamorous places like Oxford, Cambridge, Sussex and Kiel, I lived at home and went daily on the bus to Rochdale College of Art. The moment I walked in the building and smelled the special smell of an art school, I knew I'd done the right thing. And without my renegade art teacher, would I have ever known? Probably not. It's very evident that creative education must start as early as possible. For the next generation of artists and designers, their aesthetic sense and the passion for making things must be awakened at school. I'm on the board of Creative Skillset, an organisation some of you may know. At the moment, we're involved with higher education apprenticeships, but the future policies of its Fashion and Textiles panel is to promote an awareness of industry needs and industry standards within schools in order to give young people a clear idea of the creative careers that they can pursue. This fits in perfectly, of course, with the RSA and their work that they're doing with schools and their academies. However, I was keen to do sculpture at Rochdale College of Art, but it turned out that I was allergic to plaster of Paris and came out in hives. However, as luck would have it, in Rochdale, there was an Aladdin's Cave of wonderfully exotic vintage and modern fabrics, which was a collection made by two of the tutors there. I thought I'd found Nirvana. It was a fabulous collection from Egypt to Japan, from India to Africa, and from the Yorkshire Mills to Chinese emperors. I loved the textures, I loved the patterns, I loved the colours, and I was desperate to do something with them. I still respond quite violently to cloth and texture, and can still get completely thrilled by cobblestones next to concrete or boiled wool even next to wood. I went on to study fashion and textiles at Birmingham College of Art. My tutor was Zandra Rhodes, another RDI, and incidentally, it was in my second year there that I paid my first visit to this house. As Vicky referred earlier, I actually won the RSA Student Design Award for Fashion Design. £100 postal order. A near fortune back then in the Middle Ages. And indeed, it was a glorious visit. Overwhelming and intimidating, a little bit like tonight. But I'm delighted to add my welcome to the current winners here this evening. Congratulations to you all. And in the next 2 years, one of the things I really want to try and introduce is to involve fashion and textiles more with the Student Design Awards. I was lucky that my time was a truly golden era for education. First of all, it was free. We even got a subsistence grant to join the new culture of feminism. Everything was changing. We had birth control and jobs for all. Young people demanded a voice. More than that, they demanded a life that was totally different from the ones their parents had led. Parents who couldn't even tell the difference at the time between John, Paul, George and Ringo. There were movements for racial equality for women, for the decriminalisation of homosexuality, and for the legalisation of abortion. It was a liberal, experimental time, change-embracing and joyful in its new ideas. And to be a part of those change-makers and to be part of the group was truly exhilarating. As young designers, we egged each other on. It meant a new way of dressing, and we redefined sexiness as an ankle-length pleated skirt with men's shoes. For my generation, and thanks in part to Mary Quant RDI and Bouroullec, both down on our wall downstairs, working at least a decade before us, fashion was no longer solely about dressing the rich exquisitely and expensively. It was about dressing the many beautifully and well. Couture was dead. By the 70s, our clothes were affordable by large numbers of women at various price points. They were intended to make many women feel confident and look great. Fashion reflects and responds to political, economic, social change. And astonishingly, during my career, there's been more change in women's lives than at any other period in history. After graduation, I worked as a freelance illustrator for a while. I worked with the wonderful Wendy Dagworthy, and then in 1975 I joined Quorum as an old label designer. But in 1981, with the encouragement of my husband, David Cohen, we set up Betty Jackson Limited and showed our first collection. The success was instant, unbelievably, meteoric and very, very exciting. Our first solo fashion show was way back in 1983. I can't believe it. It sounds ages ago. In fact, the first of 64. But please fear not, I'm not going to bore you with every one. But in the following images, up until 2011, I hope there's some examples of the work we did and how it developed. And I think it shows just how craft and technology of the time worked together to produce a commercial product. There are sculptural shapes, a recurring theme, dramatic volume, though always wearable, at least we certainly thought so at the time. The contrasts of pattern and textures together using unexpected fabrics, and there were prints, both screen print and later digital. We worked with young artists and even younger textile designers to put paintings onto cloth. The idea being that the original image was so large that when printed, by the time the production garment was industrially cut, each one would display a different bit of the print in a different area of your garment, making it unique. A sort of pret-a-porter couture. Sounds really obvious now, but I think it was revolutionary at the time. We put together industrial upholstery with the softest cashmere and chiffon, sequin silks next to hardcore men's footwear fabrics, ancient traditional Indian embroideries and Chinese batiks worn with ripped denim and frilled organza, jeweled knitwear sat against fake fur. We were responding to the needs of the time. Professional women with little time to spare needed clothes that worked for them. Many of them were a single female voice in an aggressively male environment and needed to declare their intent when they entered their place of work. This wasn't about who was wearing whom. It was about being someone who looked like they knew what they were talking about before they even started. To them, the craft of the garment was invisible, the technology effortless, and rightly so, as that's the job of the designer. Clothes moved seamlessly from day to evening, barriers were broken down, and versatility was everywhere. You could just change your earrings and go from the office to a black tie event. Craft is not a half-baked, rather lame, poor relation of design. All creatives, including fine artists, have a craft. It's the skill they have learnt, developed, and honed. It is the understanding of their discipline and their materials, and it is their experience, their years of experiment, of successful ideas and failed ones, and it is finally the authority they bring to the making of a beautiful and useful thing. Craft is beautiful, and it is to be cherished. Technology, from the spinning jenny to 3D printers, serves craft, but also stimulates it. And the craft of the designer is more beautiful when you can bond fabrics, laser cut raw edges, and digitally print textiles in 140 colours. My career has spanned the time from when the technology was old, established, and definitely a little tired, when, for instance, northern textile mills were reluctant to include sunshine yellow or turquoise in their colour palette because navy and camel had served them so well over the years, to now where there's no limit to the ingenuity and imagination of design technologists working in industry and experimental scientists and designers working together in universities. Changes were made then in response to the designer's demands, even if industry did regard us as a two-headed species to be tolerated but never fully embraced. A recent report from Oxford Economics, the foremost global analyst, singled out the fashion and textiles for praise for its rapid adoption of new communication technologies and the rate at which it is evolving and innovating in response to society's needs and concerns. In particular, it cited online retailing, sustainable textiles, techno-fabrics, and smart fabrics. Collaborations between the chemists of Imperial College London and the designers of the Fashion and Textiles Department at the Royal College of Art, funded by industry, of course, have given us new fabrics for athletes, for adverse condition explorers, and for moonwalkers. They've developed fibres for use as bullet-stopping body armour for the military and to protect emergency relief and rescue teams. Researchers are working on wearable interfaces that integrate software, communications devices, surveillance systems, and haptic centres. We have textiles that can monitor mood and textiles that can alter the wearer's mood. We have new fabrics that can monitor our well-being, administer medication, broadcast our feelings, or dampen them. Quantum tunneling composites give us the no-contact jacket which delivers a shock when anybody grabs it, better than any rape alarm. On a more whimsical level, researchers are developing clothes that deliver therapeutic fragrance, that harness solar power to recharge your phone, that have your entire music collection stored in its yarns and can play it at the flick of a wrist. Hussein Chalayan RDI has used wireless technology in parkas and jackets that have embedded circuitry and connectors. Way back in 2007, he designed dresses powered by machine-driven levers that opened and closed to reconfigure a garment's shape or silhouette. The integrated technology enabled hemlines to rise and fall, a bodice to open of its own accord, and a jacket to unfasten itself and pull away from the wearer's torso. It sounds again like the frivolities of fashion, but imagine how fully developed these systems might help the disabled to dress independently. Similarly, if we look at waste and sustainability, an estimated 1 million tonnes of fabric waste ends up in landfills each year. Textiles and fashion designers have been proactive in developing sustainable ways of creating fashion. Some designers, such as Margaret Howell RDI, work with such craft, quality, and high expectation that their clothes and fabrics are made to last a lifetime. Whereas Helen Story, already mentioned previously, Professor of Fashion and Textile and Science at London College of Fashion, has been working for a while with the chemist Tony Ryan from Sheffield University on soluble fabrics that at the end of their lifespan don't hang around in landfills for centuries, but gently evaporate. Today, in fact, Helen has launched A Dress for Our Time, a 4-day public art installation at St Pancras International to coincide with the climate change talks in Paris. It's well worth taking a look if you're down that way. Next year at a symposium on creative cutting at Huddersfield University, one of our themes is a no-waste pattern cutting, where the no-waste thinking begins at the concept of the garment, with the collaboration between the designer and the garment technologist. These are all developments that nourish the imagination of the fashion designer. In my world, more and more people are looking again at handcraft techniques, and more young designers are discovering the beauty of traditional crafts and reinventing them with the help of new technology, a school of thought I gladly embrace. You can quilt a fabric with heat. You don't have to stitch it. You can cut the bottom of a frock. You don't have to hem it. You can embellish or embroider a frock with resin instead of jewels. You can bond fabric together. You don't have to line it. Craft and technology remain the twin pillars of innovation. The best idea is just a daydream if you can't translate it into something physical. So I'm looking forward to the next 2 years for all the challenges that it presents. It's an overwhelming honour to be voted master of this hugely talented faculty of designers, housed and parented by the Royal Society of Arts, and one for which I consider myself completely unworthy, ill-equipped, and a bit scared. But as my dear friend, the late and very great Lisa Jardine, kept saying to me, well-behaved women don't change the world. And I'm also thinking there will be a dress code for future RDI meetings. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Betty. And as one badly behaved woman to another, I'm thoroughly looking forward to working with you over the next 2 years. And it's a great moment because the RSA is also about to launch, or has just launched, a report on making and craft. So we are absolutely aligned on that. Thank you all so much for coming this evening. I'm now very pleased to be able to say that we will be going downstairs to the room just below here, the Benjamin Franklin room, where we'll all be able to have a drink and join and mingle and greet each other. Could I suggest that you leave the room by both exits, because the faster we get out of here, the quicker we can come back in here and have something to eat. So there's a great incentive to leave quite quickly and get downstairs. And also, could the new RDIs please stay, because we want to take the traditional photograph of you going down the stairs at the top here. So we'll just wait for everyone to go, and then that will happen. Thank you so much for coming this evening, and welcome to Betty. Goodbye to Malcolm, but you're not going very far. And thank you so much. Good evening.